Record. Okay. Hey, David, how's it going?
It's good, Mukund. How are you?
My life is the good life. I get the chance to talk to you, so how can I complain about that?
For sure.
So, David, really quick, what I wanted to be able to do in today's podcast is just start the introductions to what I've got an agenda, obviously, for the podcast, but I thought we'd start with just the topic that was very interesting that we both were discussing on Slack yesterday, and we kept talking about it today as well, which is a lot of people are starting to use their CRM system as a CDP, sending a bunch of stuff into it. I know we went through a customer situation yesterday, so that we go through that and why it may not be a good idea and why some people are doing it. I don't even understand. Well, I understand why they're doing it because it's simple, but I don't quite understand some of the elements of it. But let's start this way first. Let's do a quick introduction because this is our first podcast together as a team. And then after that, we'll go into this CRM CDP discussion and business intelligence, or specifically decision intelligence. Let me start first with give an introduction really quick so we can start the podcast off right.
Sounds good.
Why don't you start first?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm Dave Slavich, co-founder here at iCustomer. My last company, Zilotek, was Forrester #1 ranked CDP. We had a great exit. We sold to Terminus. Um, I've worked almost every side of the house in tech, from SDR to SOPs to MOPS to sales and marketing. And pretty much we started this company to help marketers with sort of what I call the last mile. So you have all this data, you have all of these systems, and really the last mile to me is like the decision intelligence. Like, what do I do with all of this? How do I activate it? What's my next best steps? So we're building the my dream tool to solve for sort of all of the issues that I encountered when I was working all of those in all of those in all of those departments, and ostensively help people hit their goals, their GTM goals.
Got it. So let's talk a little bit about go to market itself in specificity, right? Now, when you look at go to market teams in some of the larger companies, they are sales operations teams that are responsible for it, marketing operations teams that are responsible for it, and you have customer ops teams, customer success teams, whatever you want to call them, right? Now, each of the decisions that these guys need to make is a little bit different based on what they want to do. Our first version, explain to me who is the specific person that or people that we are trying to help, and what kind of decisions are they making that we could possibly help them with.
Yeah, so starting sort of at the exec level, um, their time is a lot more limited, and they're having to deal with a lot of different issues from a lot of different departments. So for them, it's really understanding the lay of the land, what's going on with like their data, what's going on with their opportunities, and then moreover, helping them create decisions in a lot more of a predictable fashion and a lot more streamlined way. And then working down from there, the operations people. So marketing operations, MOPS, sales operations, SOPs, all the people that are doing the data wrangling to enable the business. So from segmentation to activation in a platform for like outbound marketing, for inbound marketing, sort of all of that good stuff. I'd say those are our two primary sort of user groups.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Tell me a little bit about one of the things that you were talking to me about, last week when we were, or 2 weeks ago now, seems like it's ages ago, when we were talking about this GTM and RevOps in particular, right? So this is a newer team.
Yeah.
Marketing Hops has existed for the longest time. Sales Hops has existed for the longest time. Now, RevOps, is this someone or a team that is bringing together all these different ops teams, or is this a completely different team with a different focus?
They sort of, in my mind, RevOps, in terms of functionality, kind of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, is sort of a mix of SOPs and MOPs because handling, they are doing a bit of data wrangling, but they sort of sit higher up, at least in, how would I say it, the business food chain, because like they're like a RevOps leader is primarily tasked with, it's Avi.
Oh, really? He's the one that is pinging you? We're supposed to be at a podcast. Tell him about that.
I
Okay,
just
we'll have
spilled
to edit.
water on my console.
Oh, man. We'll have to edit all this stuff out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a tough time. Oh, my God. What happened?
I spilled my water.
Hey, David, we were talking a little bit about decision intelligence and RevOps teams in particular, right? What
Yeah.
decisions are RevOps teams making in terms of getting ready for 2025?
So yeah, in my mind, RevOps sits on top of all revenue teams, and they're analyzing all of that data and trying to sort of refine the entire pipeline end to end, right? So super top of the funnel stuff down to sales, all the way through to like the customer success journey, and then all the way to like renewals and expansions. So they're sitting on a data heap that's a lot bigger normally than like SOPs or MOPs,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Do they worry about things such as they ought to
Uh,
worry about the data, obviously, but besides the data, they're responsible for a lot of different other processes as well, all the way from sales commissions and sales territories to revenue correlation, revenue
yeah,
lift, upgrades, renewals, retention, everything else, right? Now,
yeah,
when the decisions come, when it comes time to make decisions, one of the challenges that a lot of these guys face, obviously, that we have been telling us so far that we've been talking to, is that data exists in a lot of different places. And just sort of bringing that together is a big challenge because everything involves writing an ETL and all of that stuff. How do you think we can help do that, make that a little bit faster, even if there's more than one channel?
yeah. So, right off the bat, we enable our customers like to kind of get going super quickly is they plug in their source systems, they plug in their destination systems, and then basically now they have like a single source of operations, right? They don't have to log into a million different platforms to like aggregate this data. So immediately they sort of have the universe of the data in their internal systems at their fingertips, number one. Number two, we also bring like our open graph to the
Yeah,
table, which is sort of all encompassing, right? Like if you want to bring in your data provider, your Apollos of the world, your Zoom infos of the world, you just plug that into our open graph. If you're looking for a little bit more like signals, whether someone's hiring, whether their growth rate's up, all of that good stuff, you can also bring that in through our platform. So you sort of have this universe of data at your fingertips, like right off the bat.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about this open graph thing. I know a lot of customers have been asking us about it. How did we come about trying to put that together and what does it help them do?
So, we came from the CDP world, and so like identities was like a huge thing. And so we came up with this concept at Zilotek, which is like the immutable ID. So
Yeah,
every person has like an immutable ID, and then all of the data for that person flows up into that ID. And the same thing is with companies. So uh, you don't have to do any of that complicated matching between systems and ontologies and all of that stuff. Funnel that data into our open graph, and then it'll automatically append itself to those people in those companies. So you don't have to do any of that work. That's
got
kind
it. Yeah.
of the concept of the open graph.
So essentially, the open graph is you get a single ID, and that ID will translate into the same customer in HubSpot, same
Yep.
transaction ID in the finance system. Same thing in terms of the lead that comes into MailChimp, and so on and so forth, every other platform.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's good. That makes it easy for them not to worry about who's the actual customer and focus on the user and the customer, as opposed to, there's nebulous Cisco as a customer, but there are 25 contacts within Cisco.
Yeah.
Right? So each of these becomes a unique identifier in that some sense. Got it. Okay, so now let's talk about CDP. I know that we had this very interesting discussion about one of our customers that has taken all of their web events, all of their web analytics across 10 different website properties and put it all into HubSpot. What does that do? Why did they do that? First, let's start with that. What do you think they did it? We never know why they did it, but why do you think they did it?
I think for less operational complexity, they don't want 10 different HubSpot instances running all at once. So they're trying to create a sort of a single source of truth. I'm pretty sure that's why they did it. But there's a lot of issues with that. For starters, you look at the DNA of HubSpot, and initially it was started as a CMS, and then it gravitated towards sort of being an ESP. And so there were a
And
way
CRM
for
and so
you,
on.
yeah. So it was a way to initially like organize your uh, website content and then track sort of all of the activity on your website, to send out emails and all of that kind of stuff, which is great. Like I love HubSpot, by the way. But uh, it was sort of later in their journey that they created their CRM product, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so you can kind of start to see that like it was never really built to like be a massive data wrangling type system for starters. And so then when you are trying to aggregate this mass amount of data into it, it ends up turning into a complete clusterfuck. Just, there's no more eloquent way to say that, but
So they
um,
not only have multiple properties
they're
reporting
sort of
into the
you,
same
yeah,
thing, they have multiple properties all reporting into the same HubSpot. They have a lot of data from different systems all going into HubSpot. So they're using HubSpot less like an app and more like a data warehouse, it seems, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's
Is
a
that
lot
even a
of costs associated with having all of those accounts and all of those contacts. Because yeah, HubSpot does have those pesky storage fees.
yeah,
Not to mention maintaining all of that data is going to be difficult. And for the viewers out there, data decays at a rate of 25% year on year. And so depending on how good you are at sort of keeping your data fresh, it doesn't take very long for that data to become irrelevant.
yeah, yeah. I can totally see that, right? Because most of the people that we talk to right now have been telling us the biggest challenge that they seem to be having with the HubSpot data issue is just that there's way too much data that HubSpot generates. And because of the generation of all the data, they have to buy that HubSpot Data Hub, which is a different product. And very soon, you're looking at CRM, and then well, see, everybody starts with CMS. If they add Marketing Hub, Sales Hub, Data Hub, you're suddenly looking at $120,000 to $150,000 a year
Yeah,
with a very few number of users.
yeah,
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 they also ramp up, right? They start at zero, they go to 20, and then suddenly it's like a jump to $800 a month.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very
So
interesting. And of course, now they got the Breeze AI with Clearbit uh, as well. I know this was awesome. This is a good start. I just wanted to make sure that we put something out there to get a discussion started. May not be the best, guys, in terms of podcast and video, but we will get better, right, David? On an
yeah,
ongoing basis, every week we'll be here. Next week I'll invite somebody, and then we'll soon have lots of good invitees, guests as well. One of the guys that we talked to just now, about half an hour ago, might be a good guest on the show later on to come in and talk about data systems. And Brogan is actually a good guy, so We'll hopefully keep this going. Let us know what you guys think, and we'd love for you to subscribe. Thanks, David. Talk to you soon, man.
Cool. Mahalo.